it's Michelle from the Scattered Scrapper. Welcome to my channel. I finally got my October Daily 2021 completed, so I thought I would do a little walkthrough of my whole album. And I was able to get the whole month into this one little album. Sort of. It does stick out just a little bit, but I think when it's in my bookcase, it's not going to be too squished. I think things will be okay inside. So here I just put the year with some pumpkins on it to let me know what year this one is. And when we open it up on the inside, my first page here, it's just a pretty little decorative page welcoming October 2021 with some stars and this pretty little bow here. And I just love this pumpkin moon with the haunted house with all the little ghosties and things coming out. I just thought that was so cute. And then I just sewed a little tab on here for a flip to this side, and on this side I just used some stamps to stamp out October and a bunch of different colors of my Distress Oxide inks. And I used this little calendar from October afternoon with the little cats and the pumpkins. Oh, that's so cute. And it's a shame that October 1957 doesn't have the same calendar as this year. That would have really worked out well if it had it. But it's a little off. And then in the next page here, I tell the story of our very first trip of the season to the spirit store. And this was actually in September. We were so surprised to see a spirit store opened in the middle of September. Usually it's towards the end of September or right at the beginning of October. So we were really excited to go in and look around and see what all they had. And then the next page is a picture of me doing this series, the SCRAP-O-WEEN 2021 series. And I have this little pull tab that talks about the story of what got me started in wanting to do it. And then the other side is just a little decorated there. And then it just slides right back in. And then this next one is a little tab here with this little felt heart that the little ghost is holding. And I sewed a little ribbon tab here to turn it and put this twine into my tag hole. And this just tells about the pictures over here that I made a little shaker pocket with, and it's just the first few things that come out right at the very beginning of October. I put out my skull door hanger, and the cat mug, and the skeleton hand mug comes out by the coffee machine, and Mr. Pumpkinhead comes out. And this year was really exciting for me because we actually had some goldenrod growing in our yard this year. And I was so excited because I love goldenrod. I think it's so pretty and it just screams fall is coming. And in this one, this was a shaker pocket that I made with some spiders and these little sequins and stuff. And there's even little cats in there and candies and more little bats. And on the back side of that, I just wrote about my love for my cat mug and my pumpkin face socks, the jack-o'-lantern socks. I just love those so much. And on this side, I have talked about my daughter going to the theater for the first time in quite a long time, actually, and that she went and saw Venom, and that was really scary. Not really. She really had a good time. She went with a friend, and they had a good time, and I just have this little eek here decorated on the back just as a little tuck element. And then on the back side, I just made a little scene here with some October afternoon die cuts of this little witch working on a brew with this little cat and the tree. And then this So Spooktacular is actually a die cut from, oh, one of the Disney-esque collections from Simple Stories. And then here is a little filler page that I copied from Dearly D, and I just put this boo die cut here. And on the back side I have a little ghost. This is from a crepe paper collection from a couple of years ago, and I just put a little white oh, what do you call them? Not brads, but anyways, y'all know what that is, to kind of reinforce it. And it wasn't the best. If the hole had been a little farther in, I think it would have done a little better. But it works. So he's in there, and I just love his little pink cheeks. And then in this story, I talked about when Facebook went down. Hashtag Facebook down. And I made this little pocket here that I saw, let's see, Pretty Little Pocket. She had made some pockets for her October daily last year, so I thought that those were so neat, and so I made one for mine. And I put all of my favorite little memes from hashtag Facebook down into these little coffins, and I just made those with a nesting coffin die that I found on Amazon. So, and then on the inside of my pocket, I have the story about Facebook going down, and everybody was running over to Twitter and other types of social medias and talking about it and all the funny memes about it. And then on the back side of this pocket, I put our second trip to the spirit store when my older daughter came home for fall break from college, and we had to go to the spirit store so I could get pictures of both of my girls at the spirit store. And they had some little photo opportunities around the store that you could take, and I think this one's so cute with both of them and the skeleton. And then on this one, I just took a tag that I decorated and then wrote the story, and I just stuck that in there and put a little ghost here that I used a die cut or a die in my die cutting machine for, and entitled it Back in the Spirit Store. And it's kind of hard to see the back in the, but in real life you can see it. And then I just took some crepe paper, cut it really thin, and then just kind of folded it over. I put a line of ATG tape and then just folded, and stuck it down and got that little detail there. In this story here, I talk about some really bad flooding that we had in our area. And I made a flip here so that I could put more pictures and write a little bit more about what happened. And then put this little ribbon tab here so you can lift that up. And on the back side, I have a picture of me and my husband and my younger daughter. And we're at Six Flags for the Fright Fest. And here I have a tag with this little tassel here with the story of going to Fright Fest at Six Flags. If I can get it back in there. And I just made the photograph kind of like a pocket, so I could just tuck that behind. And then here I just have a piece of vellum that I printed out Thrills and Chills and sewed a little bit of a detail around the edges. And I used a Tim Holtz die set that I have that has this little jack-o'-lantern on it. And I cut out two to make my little flip here. And I just turned the paper upside down in order to get the mirror image, and then glued them together there. And then here I made a collage of a lot of the pictures from our trip, and I just put these little puffy stickers here. Just love this little ghost, it's so cute. And then a little bat here. And on this side I also have a collage of pictures from that day with some more stickers, and I had thought about doing some stitching in between all of these pictures, but since I was testing out 2 different picture apps, the white line in between, or the white border in between the photos, are not the same, so that was not going to work. So I decided against doing the sewing and then just put these little puffy stickers. And I still can't decide if I like this one better or this one better. I like this thinner border, but it gives you a thick white border on one side, whereas with this one you have a broader border, but it's even all the way around. So if I could figure out how to make it more like this, with it being even all the way around, but a little more skinny with the border, then that would be perfect. And on this page here, I used some Brutus Monroe glitter paste and a stencil on a tag that I'd used a die to cut this big tag, and I put a little googly eye in the little hole there, or where the hole would be. And the reason why I did that is because I had thought about putting some ribbon or tulle or some twine or something here, but I didn't want it sticking out the side here. I like all of these sticking up out of the top, but I just, in this particular case, did not want them sticking out of the side, because there's not really anything else like that, and there was not going to be anywhere else that was like that, and for uniformity's sake, I just prefer it to be not have a thing dangling down right here. So I put a little googly eye there instead. And then on this side of my tag, I have another googly eye here, and I talk about the cold weather coming. October is when the cold weather starts to hint that it is coming. And last year we actually had our first frost or freeze. Now I can't remember. It must have been our first freeze. We had our very first freeze of the season on October 31st. And I was so scared that it was going to be cold again this October 31st. But it wasn't. It was in the 50s. So it was a really pleasant walk around the neighborhood. We weren't dying of heat stroke. But we weren't freezing to death either. So that was really nice. And then in this, I just took a little goodie bag that I cut down to size. And on the front, I decorated and wrote about our very first Spooky Friday movie night. And that we watched the movie Spaced Invaders. And I just put this little haunted house on the back there. And I put the tab there so you know, hey, you need to pull that out so you can see the picture. And then I just added some little candies and treat buckets on the back. And then this one, I have a whole spread of us playing with the Snapchat filters. And this was a scrap lift of Pretty Little Pocket, where she had done her different types of teas and her different type of mugs for this season. And I only have those 2 mugs for the season, so that wouldn't have worked. But we had lots and lots of Snapchat filters that we were playing with, so that worked out perfectly. And here I just have these little decorative pullouts that are based right off of hers. I just scrap lifted her and sewed this little pocket here and here and put a little Tim Holtz tag that says Wicked. And this one, I have this little one that says Beware, and I just have a little bit of journaling about what all is going on with us playing with these Snapchat filters. And then here I put some a Tim Holtz tiny word sticker from his Halloween collection from a year or two ago. But this one says, "In these very woods." And I think that it works perfectly because in this particular filter, it makes you look like a ghost out in the woods. And then on this one, I put her luminous eyes because my daughter's eyes look like they're glowing, and mine look like they're glowing, and my husband's, even through his sunglasses, look like they're glowing. And then here I have "Charged with Foreboding." And if I've met that face in a dark alley, that would be a lot of foreboding. Because that's kind of creepy. And then here I have "Faintly Visible" because you can faintly see that I'm there. And now this one is the little tag that came with some new Christmas. This is not Christmas, guys. New Halloween socks that I got this year. And I just put a little pumpkin smiling there. And on the back, I have the picture of this pair of socks, the 2 pairs of socks that came with this tag on them. And just have a little skull there. And this one, I have a big picture of us at a park that's local to us here, and our outdoor club at school had gone out to the park to walk and stretch our legs and have some fellowship together. And you can't really tell too much in this picture that the leaves were just starting to turn. And as we were walking down this lane, the wind would blow just a little bit and the leaves would fall, and it was so beautiful. And you can kind of see a little bit that there's some leaves here on the ground, and it was just beautiful. So I put "I love fall most of all," which is so true. That's my favorite season of the year. And then on this side, I just have a picture of me and my younger daughter during our walk, and a little bit of journaling with some felt hearts. And this purple doily here, what I did with this purple doily was use some watercolor to color this white doily. And I made a purple one, a black one, and an orange one to test it out. Because in a previous layout, I had taken a white doily and covered it in black ink from a Distress Oxide ink pad, and a wonderful viewer had suggested several other ways to cover or to color doilies, and using watercolors was one of them, so I had to try it, and it works great. I love it, and that color, it came out so vibrant. And I just have some little word stickers and some felt hearts on here, and I just cut the felt hearts out with a Lawn Fawn heart die. And I got that idea from Jenny Garcia here on YouTube, and I just love her videos. She has so many wonderful ideas and inspiration, so make sure you go and check her YouTube channel out, as well as Pretty Little Pocket. They're both such wonderful inspiration. And this one, I have a little tag here that I have a picture of the outside of the haunted house that my daughter and a friend of hers went through. And then on the back side, I have the story of our first time going to a Buc-ee's. And if you don't know what a Buc-ee's is, it is a gas station. It's a gas station out of Texas. But can you really call it a gas station? It's so much more. It's like a grocery store and a department store and a restaurant, and you can get gas there too. It is an experience that you just at least have to go to at least once. So if you are ever traveling and you get near a Buc-ee's, do stop by and just see what all is there. In fact, I have on here, is it a gas station? Is it a grocery store? Is it a restaurant? It's an experience. And it definitely is. And we had a lot of fun at the Buc-ee's after they had gone through the haunted house. And then in this story here, I went to the botanical gardens with my daughter, and you can finally see that there's some changing of the leaves are happening. We have probably next week we will be in full fall color, and it'll probably last about 2 or 3 days, and then it will rain and it will all go away. So we wait with bated breath for those 2 or 3 days where the color's just spectacular, and then it storms and it all falls off. But here we're at the botanical gardens, and I'm just kind of playing with my camera, taking some pictures, and we're in the Japanese gardens section of the botanical gardens, and it has been my most favorite part of the botanical gardens ever since I was a little girl. I've just always loved that part of the gardens. It's just so beautiful, and it has the koi pond, and the fish are always fun to watch. In this story, what I did was I took a die, and it's supposed to be some branches, I think. It's an Altenew die, and here I'm using it as like a gate or like a thicket. And I am telling the story about the week of the doctors, where I had some doctor's appointments back to back to back to back. And I tell the story behind all of my little doctors here. So see, here's my first doctor and my first one and what I did, and my second doctor, and on the back side is what I did, and my third doctor and my fourth doctor, which is my favorite doctor on Doctor Who. Gotta love the 10th Doctor. And so I just have them all stuck behind this gate here. If I can get them back in there. There we go. And on the back, I just decorated it with this chipboard that I got out of I think it's an old Echo Park collection. But I have been wanting to use this particular chipboard. I just love the look of it. It just looks like a plaque that you'd put on the door. And I got it out of the chipboard, but it was a little too thick for my book, so I just peeled the top layer off and then stuck it down on the back side of this. And I just used this wooden paper, which actually I think I used some more of the paper that I had die cut this out from. So you can see this was a lighter section of the paper, and this one was a bit darker. And then on this story, I used just some thin acetate that I have, and I have a picture of the moon. And I tell on the back the story of the harvest moon, the full moon in October, and where I had planned to take this picture, and waited and waited and waited until the day when it would finally be full, and I forgot to take the picture. I could not believe I forgot. So I had to go onto Facebook, and our local meteorologist, he posts a lot of, or shares a lot of different pictures and things from people around town and everything. And this particular picture was taken by someone who was in Etowah, and so the picture is from Etowah the Beautiful on Facebook. And I was so happy that I at least got a picture of the moon, because as it turned out here, it was kind of cloudy anyway, and I wouldn't have gotten a picture of the moon. So it all worked out in the end. In this one, I sewed some little pockets here for my sequins, so they wouldn't all fall down to the bottom. And I made sure I had a skull and a jack-o'-lantern in each little part. And I'm just talking about the beautiful weather that we had that Saturday, and going to look at a truck to see if my husband wanted to purchase it. And since we were out that way, we decided to also go and visit some family. And then on the back side, I'm talking about the spooky read for October, and how I learned about this book from my favorite book reviewer on YouTube. and she has similar taste to me, and she was reading this and highly recommended it. And so I discovered it was at my library, so I checked it out and started reading it, and boy, it is definitely spooky. It is creepy. And I did finish it, and I enjoyed the story. I was a little bit disappointed in how it ended, but I don't know how it could have ended any other way, but I would have liked it to end a little bit differently. But it's a really good read, and I really enjoyed the artwork. It is a manga, I think is how you pronounce that. So there's a lot of beautiful artwork in it, and the story is definitely creepy, so it is perfect for an October read. And then this one is a die cut that I got in a pack from Michael's this year, and I gave this little kitty cat a little hat here and some whiskers, and on the back I tell the story of my daughter going to her graduating class's masquerade dance this year, and I put some little word stickers here. You are totally boo-licious, because she was very cute in her mask there. And in this one, I am telling the story about our school's trunk or treat, our harvest festival. And my daughter dressed up as a little deer to help out during the festival. And I got a lot of pumpkins in this spread, because for some reason this year, orange and jack-o'-lanterns and pumpkins, I've just absolutely loved them more than I have ever loved them. And so in this one, I got a ton of pumpkins. So here, I just have a little bit of journaling about trunk-or-treating, and that we had our harvest festival. And then inside here are all my little pumpkins, and the stems of all the little pumpkins are the pictures from the different trunk-or-treating, the little sections, and some pictures of the kids. And like this one is my absolute favorite. I don't know if you can tell because it's such a tiny picture, but they decorated their trunk like the game Among Us, and it says yellow was ejected. I think that's what that says. Yes, yellow was ejected. And for each one of the trunks that you went to, there was a little game that the kids could play, and then they would get their little treats, and everybody had a really great time, and it was a huge success. So we really enjoyed our harvest festival this year and had fun. On the back side here, I talk about a place in the town next to us that just had this beautiful display that you drive by it and you just have to stop. You have to stop and you have to take pictures. And hopefully if you can talk your family members into coming, then you can take family pictures there, because it was decorated so beautifully. And so I'm just writing about that, and these were some scarecrows that they had up, and there was this beautiful welcome sign, and over the sidewalk they have like this big arbor, and they had all these pumpkins all on either side. It was just full of pumpkins, and you could walk through, and inside there was these little scarecrows. They had a couple of little spots where you could stop and had like a little picture photo opportunity there. And then here by the little train, or the caboose, they had some more scarecrows, and the mums were just beautiful. There were, oh, this picture just does not do the color of those flowers justice. And then here on this side, I have pictures of our Halloween party, and the kids came and they were playing a game. So I got pictures of them, and then I have these little tags here where it says Happy Halloween and Eek, and I put a little bit of decoration on each of these so I can throw them away apparently. And on the back side, I have the decorations of the mantle and the food that we had at the party this year were banana splits and ice cream sundaes. But of course, I also had to make the cheese dip because it was requested by several people that I have to also have the cheese dip. It's a cheese dip that I make for every party that we have, and it is highly requested, and people are quite disappointed when we don't have cheese dip. And it's a recipe that I actually got from my mother-in-law. The first time I ever had the cheese dip was when I was dating my husband. So it is a long family tradition to have the cheese dip. And I'm very grateful to her that she has passed the cheese dip recipe and the cheese dip making on to me, so I can make it for the family when we have our get-togethers. And then the very last story is October 31st, and I have my little jack-o'-lanterns here and the Happy Halloween, and I've made another flip pocket so that I can tell a story about going trick-or-treating. And here's the Boo Crew. We had gone trick-or-treating with my brother and his family in their neighborhood, and it's just some pictures of decorations in the neighborhood and the kids dressed up. And then in our neighborhood there is a house that always just goes all out, and they also decorate not only their house, but they are on a corner lot. So this is the corner of the street. So there's a street going this way and street this way. And they always, every season, they have this just decorated. So fun. So every year I have to get a picture of my girls with the decorations. And so on the way home from trick-or-treating with my brother and his family, I stopped so I could get a picture of my younger daughter with the decorations on the street corner. And the very last thing I have is my little rhinestone skull here on some acetate to close the book out for us. And that is it. I had so much fun doing this project. I'm so excited that it actually is completed, unlike last year's. And I'm really so grateful for you for coming along with me, and I hope you have greatly enjoyed the Scrap-O-Ween series. I know I have. I have much more respect for those of you who make videos and post them every day. Y'all are amazing. I don't know that I will be able to do that very often, but I think hopefully Scrap-O-Ween will become something that I can do every year. But for the month of November, I have a few ideas in mind, so do stay tuned for that. And if you have liked this video, please give it a like, and if you have enjoyed this series, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.